Hey, it's Frank. I'm back. We're back. History Through the Eyes of Faith with Angie Ferris. I'm your host, Frank Raines Jr., along with Producer Wes. Angie, hello.
Hello.
So we're glad you're here. I'm glad you've been listening. Glad you've been watching. And we're back in studio, was it 42? Is that what we named it?
I think so.
Studio 42. So how 41? Thanks, Producer Wes. So how are you doing, Ange?
I'm okay.
Summer been good?
It's been a busy summer.
How's your back?
My back's feeling okay. Stop it.
We were just catching up before the recording.
I wasn't catching up. That's what it was.
You weren't catching up.
No, I was
You had a slip.
falling down.
Falling down. She didn't fall down here. She was telling a story earlier. She's fine. Everything's good. Yeah, summer is off to, well, we're halfway through. Sort of? Or are we
Probably
just getting
more
started?
We're more than.
I always feel like summer goes through September.
Well, technically, summer is through September, yes. And the fall is September to December.
Is that like September 20 something or something?
Yeah,
like
they're
that?
all around the 21st.
Yeah, it's been hot. Been a little hot.
Very hot.
It's a little cooler the last few days, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's been hot. I had a birthday.
Happy birthday.
And I'm much older. It was not just a 1 year. It feels like there was multiple that happened.
Does it really?
Mhm. No, I'm okay. But I had a birthday. Guess what?
What?
For the podcast listeners, and this is something that I have forgot to tell. I don't think anybody knows this except my wife and then the person that it's involving. One of our guests on this podcast several episodes ago, like episode 50 or 75 maybe, or 100, maybe 100.
Who are you talking about?
Tad.
75.
75, episode 75, my buddy Tad. He turned, his birthday was June 28th, which is 8 days before my birthday.
Same age?
Same age.
Wow.
We're 8 days apart. I forgot his birthday. Forgot.
How'd you do that?
Forgot the birthday. So
You're of the age where you got to put it on your phone.
First time, here's what's crazy. There's things in my life in June that mark some little anniversaries. And they're like June 1st, June 10th, June 24th. No, July. I get them confused. I think it's 24th. Well, we got into the weekend. I'm like, the 28th. Something's on the 28th. And I have a buddy from childhood. It's on the 25th. I wished him a happy birthday. It's on the 28th. So 28th comes and goes. It's the 29th. It's a Monday. I don't know what day it was. I'm on my way to a meeting. I'm on the phone with Tad. We're checking in. Yeah, I think it's a Monday. He had gone to Austin for the weekend. We're just chatting about whatever. I said, hey, I'm running in this meeting. I'll call you when I get out of the meeting. So tell me why you went to Austin again. He goes, well, we went, to celebrate my birthday. And that's how I remember. Of course, he knew that's how I was going to remember. Yeah, I could not believe that I forgot. It was more about just how did that anyway, but it's all good. We're fine. But I just, I think our father forgot my birthday like a year or two ago. And that's, in your 90s.
So he made a list this year and put all of his children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and their significant others all on his phone. So
Yeah. But anyway, that happened.
And then he wished me a happy birthday last week.
Well, there you go. Last week.
My birthday was not last week.
But
he didn't do it on your birthday either, I don't think.
Oh.
I'll have to go back and check. Because that would make sense. I think I would have caught that.
Well, he did. He wished me one. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think, he hit an auto send or something.
Well, anyway, I was surprised that I forgot that. And I forgot. So I've got another thing, a little story I can tell before we get into what we're talking about today. But update me. You've traveled. You've been places.
Oh, we have traveled. I can't remember. I can't remember when last we were here, but we hadn't been on our trip out west, have we?
I don't think so.
I don't think we had.
When was the last time we recorded?
That's what I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. Did I tell you about the Eagles?
No. About the Eagles.
Probably. I'm going to
Was Vince Gill with him?
No. I'm probably going to tell this story, and people who watch the podcast are going, she did tell him, and they've already talked about this, and neither one of them remember it.
Which is be awesome if that's the case. Even right now, if you're already going, they're going to discover that we've already, and if we never remember.
Did I talk about, so we flew into Boise, drove, spent some time up in the mountains of Idaho, then spent 2 days driving to Reno, and then we were in Reno for a week, and then down to Yosemite. And I got to look up when's the last time we recorded, because I just feel like I'm repeating myself here.
Well, if you are, good, let's go.
Okay, so
neither one of us remember.
When we left Boise and came down to traveled, anyway, it was the middle of nowhere. We did that on purpose. We like seeing things we haven't seen before. So we went down through the corner of Oregon and the corner of California to get to Reno, Nevada, which, look at your map. If you don't, like, you wouldn't think could do that, but you could, from Boise through Oregon, through California, down to Reno. So in California, we stayed at this place called Fort Bidwell Canyon Farm. And Fort Bidwell is right there.
Pretty sure you've not told this story.
Okay. And to get there, we had to go over a pass.
Like the settlers.
Yeah, like 6,000 plus feet, gravel road.
No.
Coming down the backside toward the lake. It was something.
Yeah.
So then we get down in there. And
how does it compare to driving up Pikes Peak? Because that...
well, you're not as high. It's not 14,000 feet.
Yeah, okay.
But it's some switchbacks.
Okay.
And it was straight down. And the thing was, we didn't say, oh, let's drive up Pikes. We didn't know we were going to have to go over this
When I drove up Pikes Peak, I didn't know what I was getting into.
Well, I did.
I did not know.
Anyway, so Fort Bidwell is this cool little hidden town that's almost like a ghost town now. There's not very many people there. And this place we were staying at was because I had found this cool Airstream we could rent, right? So these people have a farm kind of at the end of Bidwell Canyon, and it's a beautiful view. And they put an Airstream and a tiny house, just more ways to create income. It's a working farm. And the Airstream's name was Angie. Didn't know that till we got there. And so the closest town is 30 miles away to get groceries. So we knew that. So we brought in our stuff to cook dinner. And we got up there, and it's, not long before sunset, maybe an hour, which is really late out there. And Tim's firing up the little grill thing, and I'm at the picnic table. We've gotten the Airstream all set up.
Sounds great.
I'm looking back toward
heard this story.
I'm looking back toward the lake, okay? And he's over here. And I hear this sound, and I look, and the Airstream's right here, and not 5 feet, I'm not exaggerating, above the Airstream is a bald eagle flying straight over our heads, like right there. I'm sorry, I hit the mic.
No, it's all right.
It's right there. So I'm like, Tim, bird, something. And he turns around and sees the backside of it. Well, what we figured out, so you're coming up out of the canyon and then going over us because there's a dip behind us, and then the canyon walls back there. And somewhere back there is not very far is their nest. So we had 4 do that night.
Wow.
Come over us while we were out there eating dinner. That was super cool.
Yeah. No, I have not heard that story.
Yeah. So there's lots of adventures on this trip.
Well, we'll do a quick segue. When you said Airstream, reminded me of something I want to share.
Okay.
And then we can get into the content. How's that? Update where we are in the story.
Okay. Remind me, I have something to share about weddings, but I don't have to share it here. We can do it at any episode.
Another time about weddings. Well, the reason Airstream made me think of this. This past week, Rhonda and I went down and stayed at the house in Columbia. Mm-hmm. Taylor's was out of town, so no one was at the house. We went there with the intention of, what's it like if we live here?
Trial.
Like just looking at the space, the routine, my work, working from home, her working from home, me having to drive to Nashville. Turns out my Nashville meeting that I had on one of the days got canceled. So I didn't have to drive to Nashville, but I did have meetings that I went and found a co-work place and all that. And it's a small house. You've been there. So what I've decided is I've been imagining it like this is a really nice RV. This is really nice glamping. We've got a great camper that actually has a yard and a driveway. But the inside is kind of a camper. We've got a living room and a kitchen that can host people, but the bedroom bath situation is pretty much an RV.
Yeah.
So can we live in an RV for a year?
Yeah. Well,
So we'll see. We still haven't made a final decision.
We've stayed in the tiny home,
Yeah.
And that What happened in the Airstream that did not happen in the tiny home is when somebody was like in the kitchen or the living room walking around, the bedroom still moved.
Yeah.
Like it was like, because I
Well,
woke up.
we're much bigger than a tiny home.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm just saying that Airstream was different because it was like a camper.
Right.
Whereas the tiny home had some
and
foundation.
I hope everyone knows I'm exaggerating.
But not a lot.
But the idea
Yeah.
of having a 1-bathroom home.
And it's a very small bathroom because what you first said to me the first time you stayed there was you can sit on the potty and brush your teeth.
Yeah, and wash your hands.
Yeah, it's all right there. Just very good.
Like an RV. It's a house built in the early 40s. But there's some days that we get real excited about the idea, and I like the community. We had friends over for dinner twice while we were there. There's cool places to shop and eat. I won't tell it now, but I got a shirt similar to this one at a thrift shop. That's for either the end of this episode or another episode. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll see what we do. If that happens, it's going to happen in the next 60 days.
Wow. You're going somewhere in the next 60 days? Or if you go there, you're going in the next 60 days?
Yeah.
So y'all will either move in or rent it to somebody else.
Yeah. Scary to figure out what to do.
Well, if you want to put in a bathroom, we're experienced. So.
Yeah. So now there's so many, I could just start talking about all that. Because there's so many options.
There is.
Just what makes the most sense. Like if we're going to invest in any upgrades, are we then committing to being there longer? I don't know. So we'll see. All right, history through the eyes of faith.
History through the eyes
of faith. The last episode, we talked about denominations.
And we explained how we got to denominations.
Because everybody could not get along. And they said, you know what? Instead of trying to make it fit for everybody, let's just come up with some different denominations.
Sort of. I think a big takeaway for me from that is that it was inconceivable to them that you could be a Christian and not worship and practice and agree to all the same things.
Right.
Before that point in history, that was inconceivable. So then we had the Reformation. Now we have Protestants. We have Catholics. We've always had the Orthodox, the different ways. But now they're all, and then the other thing was everybody in an area was the same. Like you were whatever your leader was. So the idea that wouldn't be the case was inconceivable. And really, I think what we said in that episode was that didn't change until they just became exhausted fighting each other.
Well, that's what I mean. And 16th century?
Yes.
Okay.
Into the 17th. Yeah. I don't remember the dates on the treaties and things.
Well, let's just say 1588 to 1620.
You're just making it up.
I'm making it up because that gives me an idea.
But okay, so that's a great segue into what we're doing.
I do want to make it.
Okay, go ahead.
This is, you said it was inconceivable at the time, up until then, that you could be a Christian and not agree on all the same things, right?
Or not practice the same way, like have a certain mass and have a certain authority figure over everybody and yeah.
Okay. Well, then I won't open this topic until maybe another time, because I'm thinking about how even now, in our current time, there is people that pursue Christianity as a Christian, say they're a believer, but they have different beliefs on different subjects. So to me, it's making me think we're still having some of those conversations, but it's completely different in some ways too.
Well, the fact that they can even have that conversation though is because of what happened after, because the denominations arose.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So segue into what we're talking about now.
Okay. So what I wanted to do, I found this cool book. It's in my backpack. I didn't pull it out. Timeline of History. I think it's what a Doris Kinderly book. Have you ever heard about that publishing house? We used to run into it a lot in homeschooling. They have really good reference materials. So it's a beautiful book that has a timeline of all of history. And it's not trying to put every event in there. It's just giving you an overview and significant events. So, in looking at that, what I wanted to do was go through the 16th century using the material in that book because we've covered almost all of it. But if you remember, we spent a lot of time talking about the Reformation and the responses to the Reformation, and then that led into the wars and that led into finally denominations. That's over many episodes. We spent a lot of time talking about exploration. And Columbus sailed the ocean blue in what year?
1492.
Which is 8 years before the 16th century, right? So most of that stuff has happened in the 16th century. We've hit here, there, and yon on that. So we've talked about politics and like kings and queens of different places, and Catherine and Charles and Henry and his wives and all the things. So how does that all fit in on the same timeline? We've mentioned the dates as we went along. So I wanted to look at the 16th century and say, okay, here's a timeline. And so we can kind of get a fresh view in our heads of how these things lined up on top of each other, in addition to pulling in some, not deep dives, but just some mentions of things going on other places in the world that I think begin to give us a concept, help us understand better how things are today.
Would you say this is maybe a summary of the 16th century?
I think an overview is better.
An overview.
Yeah.
As we move into a different topic.
Okay, so the next topic, what we haven't covered in all of that, is science and the scientific revolution, which people date starting in the 16th. Well, one thing builds on another thing, builds on another thing. But there was some significant movement in the 16th century, and we have not brought that up. And that will be coming up later in this episode or in our next episode. So I'll just drop a marker in here when we get to that, but we're not going to do a deep dive. But other than that, it's an overview to get. It's like working on a tapestry or a painting or a piece of needlework, and you're working on a section, and then you go work on this section, and then, or a jigsaw puzzle. Then you step back and put the whole thing together.
And this is putting the whole thing together.
Well, at least trying to get it all on that timeline, so you'll have some kind of idea of where they fit.
I want to ask you a favor at this point in the episode.
Okay.
Tell the listeners how all of this ties back to the point of this podcast.
So the podcast is looking at all of history through the eyes of a Christian believer, because we believe that history is his story. Okay, God is weaving our stories into his story. So everything from the beginning is telling a story. And that's part of this. Yeah. So we started with creation on this podcast, and we're coming all the way up to current times. We will get there. And we're looking back at it to say, okay, how this happened, and this happened, but what resulted from that? And then how does that further the kingdom? Or how does that help spread the gospel? Or how does that bring us closer to the truth, or those kind of things? So this is just the 16th century with those kind of eyes on.
Okay. Just want to
okay. But no, that's a good question. And I think it's good to remember to ask it throughout.
Well, and that's why I did, because that's my job, is to come up with those good questions.
Doing your job.
And pulling it all back together.
Okay, so we're going to start off in 1501 with something that we haven't talked about at all. And it's the founding of Safavid, Iran. The Safavids were...
But it wasn't Iran then.
Iran. Okay. Why,
was it?
Why? It just went away. Completely away, dead, gone.
The laptop's gone. Mm-hmm. Okay, folks. So you want me to go ahead and finish? What's it again? The Safavid?
Safavid, Iran. Okay, let me see if I can at least...
The creation of Safavid, Iran. All right, so folks.
Let me see if I can get
back in 1501, Iran was really not well known in the world at the time. And the Safavid...
Let me interrupt you while you're doing this. Is your phone charging? Is this power strip on?
Yes.
And you're sure? Because it's telling me I have low battery and it's not acting like... I have no light.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe I'm not plugged in good. We have our tech crew on it.
So this may end up being edited, but okay.
That did something. That flashed. Okay. So let's just pause right here.
Okay. So not many people know if they have esophagus. Sometimes in some x-rays, the esophagus doesn't show up.
Sometimes you have to have a special exploration.
But if you sometimes
your
CTs,
esophagus.
if you do the ultrasound, you're going to find the esophagus most of the time.
Specialist.
Yeah. If you can go to a condylus specialist.
To identify.
I had my condylus removed when I was 18.
Okay, maybe we won't cut that. Maybe just all of that will be
all
there.
of this, figuring it out.
Okay. The esophagus is.
Am I been saying that right the whole time?
Safavids. Esophagids were Sufi Muslim mystics adhering to the Shiite branch of Islam. In 1501, Safavid Shah Ismail I claimed rulership of politically fragmented Iran, establishing his control over a wide area in campaigns that culminated in the defeat of the Uzbeks at Merv in 1510. Now, if we were studying Islamic history, those would be different tribes that were ruling tribes and all this kind of stuff.
But was it called Iran at the time? Or Iran, whatever?
Iran. I'm not sure about that, but they're telling us that so we know where it is now. It's Persia. It's like when you're in the Old Testament, they're talking about the Persian Empire, same place.
Okay.
Okay. That's where, and today we talk about Persians, right? And that's where they're from. Ismail's, that's his name, Shiite Safavid Empire posed a direct challenge to the Sunni Ottoman Empire for leadership of Islam. That's why it's noted. Remember, the Ottoman Empire was the empire that in the 1400s, don't remember the date, actually took Constantinople. Or took, what was it? I'm getting all the names. It was Constantinople became Istanbul because the Ottomans conquered it.
Right.
Okay. So they were the dominant and they were of the Sunni branch. And then the Shiite Safavids conquered this place and were a direct challenge then to the Ottoman Empire. That was a big deal. So that's why we're saying that. Okay. And obviously it's relevant today because what we're going to see throughout history is the constant back and forth of conquering people all the time. Now, I'm not saying
religions, based on religion.
No, not just religion. It's just kind of the nature of Islam that you gain things by warring.
Okay.
Okay.
You're going to just say that.
That's what their history.
Okay.
Okay. That, like I'm not like going to go preach that and argue that. It's just the way, kind of what I observe. That's what I'm saying. So anyway.
Okay.
The Safavids are rising in power. 1503, they founded Safavid Iran. 1501. 1503, we have a Renaissance Pope. Now, see, we're on the timeline. We're not trying to stay on the same topic. We're trying to go across the timeline. Go ahead.
Okay. This is
just going to get rough. I can already tell.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you. 1503, a Renaissance Pope. Say that again, because that's what we're going to go back to.
That's all I said. 1503, Renaissance Pope. That's all I said.
Okay. If what happened with the power is not edited out, there's a chance Producer Wes is on camera.
Oh.
I just thought of that.
Oh, we might have to leave it in just for that purpose.
Well, it's going to be up to the producer if it's in there.
So really, there is a chance.
All right. That was, see how my mind was thinking of that when you're going to the next thing?
Yeah,
so
okay.
Sorry.
1503 Renaissance Pope Julius II, Pope from 1503 to 1509, was a worldly man who personally led papal troops in battle. He employed major Renaissance artists such as Raphael, Michelangelo to decorate the Vatican and plan a new St. Peter's Basilica. His lavish artistic patronage was financed by the mass sale of indulgences, remission of sins. Such corrupt practices provoked the Protestant Reformation.
We talked about that.
Yes.
The sale of indulgences.
Pope Julius II in 1503. In 1510, the Portuguese, remember them, established a permanent base in India at Goa. Remember, way back in the beginning of the explorations, we were talking about the Portuguese starting out. So I hope you're already slightly seeing how we're getting all of this together in the same frame.
Say what they did and where.
They established a permanent base in India. So they made it around.
Did you say it was called Goa?
Goa. Goa.
It's for exploration.
Yes.
Because they're going to Goa.
They're going to go there. and get them some spices and make them some
Here you
money.
go.
Okay,
We're going to
1513 at the Battle of Flodden. You're going to love this. I read this and didn't think anything about these names, and now I'm just saying all these names that are going to turn into something weird with Frank.
Okay.
At 1513 at the Battle of Flodden, King James IV of Scotland is killed fighting the English.
Talked about that.
Okay, 1517, Cairo, where's that?
Egypt.
Falls to the Ottomans.
Uh-oh.
Reigning from 1512 to 1520, Sultan Selim I almost doubled the extent of the Ottoman Empire. His conquest of Cairo in 1570 ended Mamluk rule over Egypt. That's another Islamic group, Mamluk, rule over Egypt and Syria, giving the Ottomans control of the heartland of the Muslim world, including the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. This allowed Selim to claim the title of Caliph, leader of Islam, or Caliph, either way. Selim, Selim, blocked the spread of Shiism, massacring Shiites and fighting Safavid Iran.
Salim.
There you go. That's very good. I like that.
Is that area of the country still under Muslim rule though? Now? Yeah. Yeah.
Egypt is a Muslim country.
Yeah.
In 1517, same year, the Portuguese merchants reached the Chinese port of Canton by sea. So remember where the Spanish were heading west? The Portuguese were heading east. And so they've made it to China. Also, another big event in 1517, Luther triggers the Reformation. And theologian Martin Luther made public his 95 Theses, which were critical in response to the sale of indulgences by the church, the German monk of Catholic beliefs and practices. This was, in retrospect, seen as the start of the Reformation that split Christian Europe. In 1521, Luther was excommunicated by the Pope, a decision confirmed by Emperor Charles V, but efforts to suppress the reform movement failed. So three things in 1517. Cairo falls to the Ottomans, the Portuguese make it to China, and Luther triggers the Reformation. We're going to mention a dude here who lived from 1485 to 1547, Hernan Cortez. Have you heard about Cortez? A minor Spanish nobleman of exceptional ambition, Cortez became a colonist in Cuba. Landing in Mexico with a small military force in 1519, he conquered the Aztec Empire on his own initiative. 1519, the Spanish invader Hernan Cortez leads an expedition to Mexico. 1519, Habsburg Emperor elected. We talked about this guy a lot. When he was elected Holy Roman Emperor in 1519, Habsburg Charles V already ruled Spain, Austria, the Netherlands, and much of Italy. Because remember way back there, Ferdinand and Isabella that came together from different countries and united Spain? They married off their children to these other people, and Charles V was the grandson of them. And because of the other people and all the marriages, he now has all of it. Spain, Austria, the Netherlands, and much of Italy. 1519, he's elected. With such power in his hands, he sought to become the acknowledged head of all Christian Europe. But his dominance was contested by Protestants, opposed to his Catholicism, and by the kings of France. Charles eventually gave up his unifying project after more than 30 years of warfare. 1521, the conquest of the Aztecs. We haven't talked a whole lot about what's going on over there in Mexico or on Latin America. Arriving in Mexico in 1519, Spanish soldier Hernan Cortez advanced to the Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan.
Yep, that sounds right.
I'm supposed to know that. He was repulsed with heavy losses, but allied with enemies of the Aztecs and returned in 1521 to besiege the city. Weakened by disease, the Aztecs were overrun in August. Emperor, not even going to try to say his name, was captured and later killed. Okay. 1521, Martin Luther is declared a heretic, sealing the Protestant Catholic schism. 1525, the Battle of Pavia sees King Francis I defeated and taken prisoner by Emperor Charles V, King of France. Okay. 1526, Mughal Empire founded. Babur, a Muslim warrior descended from Genghis Khan, invaded India from Afghanistan and defeated the Sultan of Delhi at the Battle of Panipat in April 1526.
But we're all descendants of Genghis Khan.
By his death in 1530, he had extended his rule over most of northern India, founding the Mughal Empire. His descendants would preside over a golden age of stability and cultural flowering in India. So that's a big thing. He's found in this empire that then you have stability and flowering in India that goes on for many, many years. 1526, same year, the Ottoman armies. Now, this is something that we hadn't spent much time on, but it's really important to our story. There was a real threat of Islamic invasion during the 16th century in Europe. The Ottoman armies invade Europe in 1526. Ottoman Sultan from 1520, Suleiman the Magnificent, launched a series of campaigns against Christian Europe. In 1526, his invading army crushed the Hungarians at Mohacs, bringing his forces to the border of Austria. 3 years later, he besieged the Austrian capital, Vienna. The city held out, and Europe remained resistant to the spread of Islam. So
that's a big deal.
Yeah, 1526. This is what Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent said, quote, "I who am the Sultan of Sultans, the shadow of God upon the earth." How he spoke of himself. 1527, Protestant German soldiers plundered the holy city of Rome. 1533, Inca ruler is captured and executed by Spanish conquistadors. 1534, Ignatius Loyola creates the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, to spread the Catholic faith.
This is post-Reformation. This is what
1534.
It's this response to the Reformation.
Luther's theses were 1517.
Yeah. What do you call that though? What am I?
Counter-Reformation.
Counter-Reformation. That's what I was trying.
Or the Catholic Reformation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of argument it would have happened even without the Protestant Reformation. 1534, Henry VIII breaks with Rome. So look, right there, Ignatius Loyola starts the Society of Jesus the same year that Henry breaks with Rome. Angered by the refusal of Pope Clement VII to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, English King Henry VIII declared himself head of the Church of England, renouncing papal authority. Over following years, monasteries were broken up and church lands confiscated by the crown. Stubborn opponents of religious reform, such as Henry's former chancellor, Thomas More, were executed. We spent a lot of time on all of that. 1534, the Breton mariner Jacques Cartier begins exploring the St. Lawrence River in North America. 1541, Calvinism spreads as preacher John Calvin founds a Protestant republic in Geneva. 1541, Michelangelo completes painting the ceiling of the Vatican Sistine Chapel. 1542, Europeans explore North America. Hernando de Soto, a Spanish soldier who had taken part in the conquest of Inca Peru, mounted an expedition to explore what is now the southern U.S. Advancing from Florida through lands inhabited by indigenous peoples, he became the first European to reach the Mississippi in 1541. He died there the following year.
Wow.
Isn't it?
De Soto?
Yes. Isn't it kind of, it's overwhelming to me how all of this is happening at around the same time.
Yeah, a lot going on. So De Soto, isn't there a city in Mississippi called DeSoto or DeSoto County?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, DeSoto County, Mississippi.
Yeah.
But 1540 is when he's there.
1542, yeah.
Yeah.
And he died, he reached the Mississippi in 1541 and died there in 1542.
That's wild.
So this is where we put a pin in the science part. The Copernican revolution, as it is referred to by some people, is 1543. And we'll come back to that when we visit back to the science piece. 1543, Portuguese impact on Japan. I found this very interesting. The first European sailors to reach Japan were Portuguese traders. Their arrival in 1543 was welcomed by the Japanese because they brought goods from China. The Ming emperors had banned direct trade with Japan, so the Portuguese found a valuable niche as intermediaries. The Portuguese also introduced firearms, which were soon being manufactured in Japan, transforming samurai warfare. Jesuit missionaries arriving from 1549 won thousands of Japanese converts, but Christianity was later suppressed. So now there's this interaction with Japan, 1543. Now we're back to a really big deal. 1545, at the Council of Trent, Catholic church leaders plan a counter-reformation. 1545, South American silver. From 1532, Spanish conquistadors took over the Inca Empire. In 1545, they discovered the world's richest deposits of silver at Potosi in what is now Bolivia. Exploited with ruthless use of forced labor, the mines brought the Spanish monarchy untold wealth, financing armies that dominated Europe. Silver was also carried across the Pacific to Ming China, where it paid for goods such as silk and ceramics. We got global trade.
Mm-hmm.
And we're ravishing the South Americans and taking all the silver. Spanish mines in the Americas produced 40,000 tons of silver in 2 centuries.
In the Americas. Yeah.
In Spain, Charles is over all of this. Like, all that's come back.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. 1552, Tsar Ivan the Terrible defeats the Khanate of Kazan and expands Russia into Siberia. 1552, same year, China grants Portuguese traders an offshore base at Macau. 1556, Akbar the Great rules India. Ruling from 1556 to 1605, Akbar was the greatest of India's Mughal emperors, tripling the extent of the empire so it covered much of the subcontinent. He followed a policy of religious tolerance, actively seeking the support of non-Muslim Indians for his Muslim regime. He gave the diverse empire a unified administration and used the wealth from taxation to patronize artists, architects, and scholars. 1562, the French Wars of Religion break out between Catholic and Protestant Huguenots. 1566, the Dutch revolt against Philip II of Spain breaks out in the Low Countries. 1569, the Union of Lublin formally unites Poland and Lithuania in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. So now we're 1571. We're 2/3 of the way almost through. Ottoman defeat at sea. The fleet of a coalition of Christian states, including Spain, Venice, and Genoa, inflicted a heavy defeat on the navy of the Ottoman Empire at the Battle of Lepanto. Fought off the coast of Greece, it was the last European sea battle contested by oared warships.
Wow.
Around 400 galleys and 150,000 men took part. So the last sea battle contested by oared warships was in 1571.
What does that mean, contested by oared warships?
The ships that were in the battle were not firing cannons or had explosive, or they weren't powered. They were powered by oars. By people down in the galley doing the deal. That was
the last time.
Slaves, probably, yes.
In the 1571.
1572.
Down in the galley doing the deal.
1572, the Wanli Emperor. It was rough. Emperor takes charge in Ming China. His reign lasts 48 years. And then we come to that massacre in 1572, the Huguenot Massacre. France Huguenots, Protestants, gathered in Paris, a mostly Catholic city, to celebrate the wedding of Huguenot Henry of Navarre to French King Charles IX's sister. Remember, this was in Catherine's story? Probably on the king's orders, leading Huguenots were murdered, and the killing of Protestants by Catholic mobs followed. The massacre on St. Bartholomew's Day was the most notorious episode of France's religious wars. 1572, in Catherine's story. 3 million people are estimated to have died in the French Wars of Religion.
3 million.
In the French Wars of Religion, 3 million.
Wow.
That's enough to make you tired.
Is that religion meaning Catholics and Protestants?
Yeah, that's the
and Muslims?
No, Catholics and Protestants, back and forth.
Wow.
That's why that says the French Wars of Religion, which to me doesn't include the 30 Years' War.
Yeah.
That's just the French part of it. 1572, the last Inca emperor. After the Spanish invaded the Inca Empire in the 1530s, an Inca state survived in a remote and rugged area of Peru. In 1571, Tupac Amaru inherited the title of Sapac Inca, Inca Emperor. The following year, the Spanish decided to finish off the Inca state. Their troops seized that town and pursued the fleeing king. He was captured, taken to Cuzco, and publicly beheaded in September 1572.
We've not talked at all about the Aztecs and the Incans.
This is it. This is how we're getting it in there.
Okay. That's it. That's all you're going to get.
Well,
there is something I'm going to look up at a break for the next episode about the Aztec that I can't remember what it is, but I'm going to look it up.
I don't have any good research right in front of me. I have things I remember off the top of my head, but we can certainly talk about it if you want to. Yeah.
So we're at the late 1570s.
1575, victory at Nagashino. A long era of civil war in Japan declined as Oda Nobunaga established dominance over all other feudal lords. Outside Nagashino Castle in 1575, he defeated the Takeda clan through his skillful use of infantry and with primitive firearms called arquebuses. Arquebusses.
For those listening.
This technology transformed Japanese warfare and allowed Nobunaga to unify the country before his death in 1582. What's the
And
problem?
allowed Nobunaga. That's proper pronunciation.
By a Southerner.
You're getting it exactly right.
It's by a Southerner.
All right.
How do you think they would say it? Nobunaga.
I don't want to try it.
I don't know either.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm not putting myself out there. That's what Frank says. I'm not doing that.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So he came up with a firearm that transformed Japanese warfare. 1576, Spanish troops who had not been paid by the Spanish king mutiny and sack Antwerp. 1578, at the Battle of Moroccan ruler Ahmed al-Mansur defeats and kills Portugal's king. It's not funny.
You said this is we'll get to go back and watch it. You're gonna go back and watch it because you said at the Battle of.
Oh, so sad.
At the Battle of. Decision was made.
Let it go. Let it go.
Hey,
Oh.
I don't know where we are.
This Moroccan ruler defeated and killed Portugal's king in 1578.
Okay.
That's a big deal. I mean, here Portugal has all of these bases all the way around the east. Where's Morocco?
Asia?
Mm-mm.
No? India?
Morocco is on the northwest corner of Africa, and it's just a small body of water from Portugal. Like, you know how I don't have the map in front of me, but you have the Mediterranean Sea is in the middle between Africa and Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And it narrows over here before it opens into the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
And the top country in Africa is Morocco, and Portugal's right there.
I didn't realize that. Good.
Yeah.
Good on your geography.
And so that's why when we were talking about the Islamic invasion hundreds of years ago, they moved across the northern continent, the northern part of Africa, and that's how they got into Europe. They came in through Portugal and Spain. And then it was Ferdinand and Isabella that ran the last ones out. That was the big defeat. I don't know if you remember, if you go back to their love story, whatever episodes we were talking about that, they were all focused year after year on this battle of getting this last Muslim stronghold out of Spain, what we now call Spain.
Okay.
And so I'm guessing this guy came across and defeated and killed Portugal's king, which would be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
1580, Philip II of Spain annexes Portugal, which loses its independence. 1582, Pope Gregory the 13th replaces the Julian calendar with the more accurate Gregorian. Now, I think way back when we talked about the goat thong.
Yep.
Way back. I'm pretty sure we've learned about that. But I think we have a guest coming soon that could also tell us.
We're going to have a guest?
Yeah. 1584, Roanoke Island becomes the first, though short-lived, English colony in North America. It didn't survive, but it started in 1584.
Okay.
Roanoke Island. 1587, Shah Abbas rules Iran. The accession of Abbas I, known as the Great, to the throne of Iran in 1587 initiated the golden age of the Safavid dynasty. A ruthless warrior, Abbas waged successful wars against the Ottomans and the Uzbeks, expanding the borders of his empire. Persian art flourished under his patronage. He made Isfahan his capital, embellishing the city, stop it, with buildings of outstanding beauty. Isfahan. What? Just can't let it go.
I just wish. I'm going to go back and watch when you say your reaction to. I don't know.
I'm just not even trying that one. Okay, now I'm getting so teary in my eyes I can't read. Okay. So, Iran is now flourishing. Beautiful buildings, outstanding. It would be interesting to I know a lot of things have been destroyed in these wars of the last just during my lifetime. But it would be interesting to see what from his period, if anything, still exists.
Yeah.
Because it is a very ancient culture. Okay, the current government is not ancient, but it's a very ancient culture. 1587, Elizabeth I of England orders the execution of her Catholic cousin Mary. 1588, Elizabeth defies the Armada. This is a big deal. King Philip II of Spain planned to use his army in the Netherlands to invade England. He sent a fleet of 130 ships, the Great Armada, to protect his soldiers crossing the Channel. Inspired by the stalwart Queen Elizabeth I, English mariners harassed the Armada and shepherded it into the North Sea. The invasion was abandoned. Sailing around the British Isles to return to Spain, the Armada lost many ships to bad weather.
So it didn't work.
No, and there's a cool story about that, and I can't remember where I've read it. It's been just in the last few weeks as I was prepping for this, but it was a pretty miraculous battle. And the Spanish Armada was the greatest seagoing force, and they were greedy and wanted England and came after it and ended up losing almost everything. And that was 1588. 1591, at the Battle of Tondabi, the Moroccan army defeats Songhai Empire in North Africa. 1594, good King Henry, a Huguenot leader in France's religious wars, Henry of Navarre, was crowned Henry IV of France in 1594. Now, this, I think, showed up in Catherine's story, but that's the guy that was getting married, or his son, that is now good King Henry of France in 1594. Seeking an end to religious conflict, he declared himself a Catholic while decreeing tolerance for Huguenots throughout the Edict of Nantes. So we've talked about the Edict of Nantes. Known as Good King Henry for his concern for his people's welfare, he was assassinated by a Catholic fanatic in 1610. 1598, Korea defeats invaders. The effective ruler of all Japan launched 2 seaborne invasions of Korea. Both failed thanks to the naval genius of Korean Admiral Yin Sun-sin. With a fleet that included turtle ships, cannon-armed metal-plated vessels, he repeatedly defeated the numerical superior Japanese. Yi died in November 1598 during the Battle of Noryang, the final naval victory that ensured Korean independence. Korean independence, 1598. Here's a dude. 1564 to 1616 was the life of William Shakespeare.
Wow.
English author Shakespeare was born and died in Stratford-upon-Avon, but spent his creative years in London. Between 1589 and 1613, he wrote 38 plays and 154 sonnets, works that have made him world famous.
Wow. Right in there on top of all of this, you got Shakespeare.
1599, Shakespeare at the Globe. The Globe Theatre was built in London alongside the Thames to house the Lord Chamberlain's Men, a company of actors that included William Shakespeare. His Henry V was probably the first play performed there in 1599. Appealing both to the literate elite and the common people, London theaters were at the hub of a vigorous cultural scene that has been called the English Renaissance. In 1600, we have more power in Japan. At the Battle of Sekigahara, the new emperor's forces triumphed and proclaimed shogun in 1603. He founded a regime that was to last for over 250 years. So the regime founded in Japan in 1603 was to last for over 250 years. That would take it up to
1850.
Interesting. 1600, Peruvian volcano, that name is not happening, erupts with large-scale effects on global weather. A volcanic eruption with large-scale effects on global weather in 1600. And then I'm going just a little bit into the 17th because I wanted to get us to this point. I've got about like 3 more things. 1600 to 1602, East India companies compete. Control of the profitable trade in spices and other luxury goods from the East Indies, India and Southeast Asia, was fiercely contested between European maritime nations. In 1600, the English crown authorized a group of merchants to form an East India Company with a monopoly of Asian trade. 2 years later, England's commercial rivals, the Dutch, established their own East India Company. Highly competitive and aggressive, these companies acquired armed forces and became major agents of their country's imperial expansion, governing territories in Asia. So we'll hear more about that going forward. That's right there at the turn of the century. And then the Safavid Persian ruler in 1603 launched a successful war against the Ottomans. So that's still going on. And then 1607 is the founding of Jamestown, Virginia. Settlers sent by the Virginia Company of London established a fort on an inlet of Chesapeake Bay, naming it Jamestown for English King James I. Starvation and disease killed 4/5 of the early colonists, but enough survived to make it England's first durable settlement in North America.
So tell me the company, it was Virginia Company.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they get the name of the state.
Mm-hmm.
From the company. And the name of the company was probably a queen or how did they get the name of that name? You know? I'm just wondering. The company, the settlers of Jamestown were from what?
No, I'm sitting there like, what were the years of Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth I?
I don't know.
Because she was back here in 1587. She executed Mary. She ruled for a long time. So I think I heard, and this could just be Angie making it up, because she was referred to as the Virgin Queen. So I think that's where Virginia comes from.
Okay.
So the Virginia Company belonging to Elizabeth.
Okay. That's where I was trying to go.
That's what I think.
So have we done like a 1600, not 1600, but a 16th century.
17th century or 16th century? You're talking about
16th century.
That was the highlights.
Highlights.
Yeah. That was the timeline.
And we're going to go back to Copernican.
Yeah, the revolution. And like when we talked about the 30 Years' War at the end, a couple of episodes ago, that is actually happening in the 17th century and it's ending in the 17th. So we've had some storylines that have taken us into the 17th century. But I think you can tell from that timeline there were so many things involved all over the world that I wanted to get it out in front of us to realize like it just really reminded me, how we've talked about this 500-year thing. It just reminded me kind of the turbulence of our time, how different life is now than it was 20 years ago, which 20 years is not that long.
No.
In the scope of history. I was going to say
something that I don't know if I want to open it, but I will because we're actually almost close to an hour now.
Wow.
So we're like at 52 minutes or 53 minutes or something. But I was going to say one of the things I learned recently, we didn't talk about it on here, but I recently visited the Hermitage, which was the home of Andrew Jackson here in the Nashville area. It's a community that they call Hermitage now, but it's outskirts of Nashville.
Right. It's Davidson County, still metro.
I didn't realize it was Davidson
County.
They talked about his career as a general and a major, I remember what his title was, because he chose to be named that. Did you hear that story? That his grave doesn't say President Andrew Jackson.
It says general.
It says general because he earned general and he wanted that on his tombstone and not the title he was given.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know a lot about Andrew Jackson other than I did that tour. But he had a lot of military conquests in the South. That the War of 1812 was a threat to the U.S. As the English may be taking the colonies back over. So there was something that we talked about in the 16th century that you mentioned. It was the Ottomans being defeated, I think, by the French.
Safavid.
There was a threat that we talked about.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember what it was? We just said it like within 30 minutes ago.
Are you talking about like when the Moroccan people came in when we were talking about Spain?
Yeah. And there was a threat.
They killed the Portuguese king.
Oh, it wasn't that. There was a threat.
Vienna, when the Ottomans came to Vienna.
Okay. Whatever it was. It reminded me of the fact that there was a threat to the U.S. in the 1812.
Yes.
And that they credit Andrew Jackson of being instrumental in shutting that down. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about how 300 years earlier that was going on in Europe.
Yeah.
With a threat to what had been established.
It's going on all the time. And I think we're just not as much aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, a lot of back and forth.
Well, what do we want to do with 4
Okay.
minutes.
Okay. Well, I think I want to, whatever you want. I'm going to save this. I thought I was going to do it, but I'm going to save it.
Okay.
I
So
think
we're
it'd be
doing a
better.
wrap up.
Yeah. So I have a question for you while we wrap up.
Okay.
It's not relevant.
Well, that's fine. We're wrapping
But
up.
somebody asked us this last night, and I've been thinking about it. How many weddings do you think you've attended in your life?
How many weddings do you think I've attended?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question. Can I know why you're at, like, just because that's an
No,
interesting
well,
question?
like Tim and I spent a lot of time with people who are of marrying age, like 20s and 30s. So the persons whose wedding we were at last night was like that, and we were with a bunch of people of that age, right? And so somebody said to us, "How many weddings have y'all been to?" And I started thinking, and I directed weddings
But
for a
you've
while.
had a longer life.
I do.
Yeah.
A longer life than what?
Than somebody in their 30s.
Yes, but I just thought it was an interesting question to think about because I was on staff at a church, so a lot of people had me directing their children's weddings.
Well, you've been to a lot more weddings then.
Anyway, I was able to come. We were like, I started thinking about it then, like after, because Tim said like, 7,500. I'm like, I don't think it's that many. And he's
Yeah, I
like-
bet it is.
It's like, well, listen, I'm telling you, on the way home, it was a long drive. I got up to 52
You were counting them.
that I could remember. Like I was trying to, yeah.
I was going to say off the top of my head, I've probably been to 20.
Wow. It's just kind of crazy to think about that.
Yeah. I mean, I can probably name easy 10.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure there's 10 that I forgot about.
Well, my siblings have accommodated me with several. Between my siblings and Tim's siblings, we've had some weddings.
Yeah. Was there maybe a dig in there?
No, we just thought it was funny.
Oh,
Like
wow.
we started going through family. Like, oh, that is unusual. Never thought about that before. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Hey, thanks for bringing that up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
they're all memorable.
my siblings alone, I've got 4.
No, I don't really.
You have 4?
Their
No,
total
you've got
marriages
3.
are 4, but I have not been to 4 weddings. That's not the case.
All right. Well, we got some good giggles on this episode.
We got some good giggles.
But we learned a lot about the 1500s. Or
and the
some would say
Safavids and the Pachacahamahamas and all
and
of
the
those
Kabbalists
people.
and whatever it is. Well, I'm going to save it a little story that's not that great, but I'll save it for next time. And you may have seen Producer Wes for the first time on this episode.
Woo!
You may have. I got a feeling that you will. Otherwise, Producer Wes is going to have to go in and edit that out. All right. Let's both look there. Bye.
It's history through the eyes of faith, where the truth unfolds from the rise of ancient empires through the tales of saints and souls. With every word, with every tale they trace, we see the world's great story through the eyes